Hey there, it's your host Dan. Today we're going to do some paint correction. We're going to take a panel that has some pretty nasty scrapes, scratches, and scuffs all over it that might otherwise need to be repainted, and we're going to make that look like brand new again. We're going to make it shine and look just amazing. We're not going to be covering up the scratches with like a polish. We are going to be permanently removing them. And I'm going to show you in great detail, step by step, how you can get this done yourself in your own driveway. It just takes a little bit of effort and some elbow grease. So let's get started. All set up here, ready to wet sand. I've got a bucket with some water in it where I'm soaking the 1500 and some 2000. Just help make your paper last a little longer. A spray bottle for the water, a sanding block, and also my dirty pillow. That's where I'm going to seat my rump while I'm doing the work here. Don't laugh at me. It's my dirty pillow. I'm going to grab a piece of 1500, which is nice, good, and soaked here. And I'm going to put it on. This is just a sanding block where one of the sides of the sandpaper fell off. It's nice and spongy. That'll work good for my purposes here. Wrap this around. And I'm just going to concentrate pretty much with the 1500 in these areas where it's got these deep scratches. And once again, I don't want to try to over sand it. So let's see here. I think I'm going to start with the worst of the worst, which is right up here at the very, very top. And let's get it wet. Start sanding. And I'm only going to want to just sand a little bit at a time. Here I really don't want to do too much all at once. And I'm always going to constantly wipe it with the rag so I can see where I'm at. Because once again, if I bust through the clear, this will be getting repainted completely. So I want to just use real light pressure with the 1500. And hopefully I can get the scratches out. If they're too deep, I might just have to leave just a tiny bit of an impression, but that's okay. Right here where I even sanded with the 1500, I can see those scratches are still there. And I'm going to be very careful around the edges because that's probably where the clear is going to be the thinnest and you're going to have the likelihood of burning through. Just a little more and it's almost gone. Not quite. Not quite. I'm just going to do just a touch more and I think I'm going to probably just stop after that because I just don't want to go too deep and cut through the clear. There's still a tiny, very tiny pin dot right here, but I'm not going to try and keep going with this because I know it'll happen. I will burn through the clear. I'll leave that. It's about the size of if a pen just made a tiny little ink spot. It's like a pen tip. Okay. That came out pretty quickly. There's another deep one right here on the edge. Shoo, that one kind of worries me. Okay, we'll try this one here next. And since this one here is right on a weird edge here where it kind of rolls over and then kind of goes flat, I think I'm just gonna use my finger. I know I shouldn't, just to see if I can get in there and get that out. I don't think this is gonna come out fully, but I could probably minimize it to the point where you can't see it unless you're coming around looking with a magnifying glass. As long as it kind of goes away where I won't notice it, doesn't catch your eye, I could probably be okay with that. Yeah, it's in there pretty deep. It's in there pretty deep. And I'm only going to work it so much with this 1500 here. Just being conscious of the clear because I am right here I am on the corner. Dry this off, see how that's looking. You know what? Well, maybe I might get it. See, it's going away a little bit towards the top, but not towards the bottom. Part I'm talking about is right here.
and it's very, very small, but this was probably the deepest one of all of them. And I don't want to keep sanding this because I know I will bust through the clear and start getting into the paint and start taking off the paint. So I'm going to leave that alone. But we can see the 1500 makes a sheen on the finish here. And it's looking pretty decent as far as those scratches. I'm going to start working on this scratch right here and get that sanded down here. I'm only going to try to sand the areas that I know my buffer is going to get to. Like, I wouldn't want to try to do right here, but really there's nothing wrong with it right here, so it's pretty much on the outside shell of it.
Still see a little bit of one right here towards the front, so I will just keep working that until I can kind of see that disappear. Just being real careful here at the front. Once again, I'm working around an edge. You got to be careful not to press down. You don't want to burn through that corner here where it wraps around. But I want to try to get that one little scratch. See if I can get that out.
Well, I've got a little more scratches. Let's see, right here. I can do some more sanding on to get that out. And if you see this little spot here in the light, that's kind of like some kind of dimple impression in the actual plastic. I'm not going to be able to get that out with wet sanding. I mean, I wouldn't even think of trying because that will just burn right down. That would need filler in order to make it look perfect. But if I can get everything else looking good, I can get away with that one little spot and be okay with it. You know what though, I will give this just I guess maybe a touch of 1500, just see if I can try to maybe level it a little bit, but I know it's not going to. I know that's not going to. But we'll see what it does. It might help it just a little bit. I know just not to overdo it over there in that area. Kind of just disregard it. There, even now around the divot where I sanded here, you can see all the 1500 around it. And right here in this area where it's shiny, the sandpaper is not touching that area. I'm not going to think of, you know, finger sanding this because, oh, it didn't get sanded. That would just make it worse. I'm just going to leave that alone, and fingers crossed, when we're all said and done, you barely notice it. And I'm using the light here from the ceiling at every which way angle so I can spot any kind of scratches that are there. Let's see, is that a scratch? Yes, it is. A couple right here towards the very edge. They're very, very small, but I might as well hit whatever I see. And just a little bit on the edge here. Just letting the weight of the pad do the work. I'm not pressing at all on the pad. There we go. I'm much happy with that. And do we have any scratches over here in this area that I would need to use 1500 for? Yeah, there's a bunch towards the back, it looks. Well, yep, sure are. You know what, I might as well just kind of go over the whole top then, I guess, with 1500 here, just to kind of even it out. But the bulk of them are right here. So I'm going to start right there, kind of concentrate on that area where the scratches were, and I'm just going to kind of blend it in real smoothly, no pressure. Okay, and I think just that fast pass with the 1500, which was really quick, it looks like that took care of the scratches in the back. And right here I'm just going to sand it a little more evenly, just so when I bump up the grits, it's just going to make that go a little quicker, just so it's a little more even. I even out a little bit of the orange peel here on top if you're looking at the light from above. And I'm going very lightly, just trying to kind of cover the larger area. Okay, let's dry this off, see how that looks. Let's see, do I see any more scratches from the 1500 level?
I know I got that low spot there. There's a pen dot low spot right here, but the next step probably will take that out, so I'm not worried about that. And got the ones across the front about as best I can. I'm staying away from the edges. I haven't even touched this edge right here. Kind of did right here. Okay, next side. Just wipe this one down, see what we got going on here. Big long one here, kind of a deeper one here. Discoloration, probably because it's always been under the hood, never got cleaned or waxed from this area over. Do I want to do this whole area? Not really, because I think the next step up will take this out, but I'm going to concentrate over here on these scratches for now, and then hopefully when I bump it up a step, that'll take care of the rest of the little hazy fog I see. Now I'm going to focus around this edge. See, up a little bit right here. And I'm going to pull the paper off. I'm going to do this one by hand, just with the paper folded over. Once again, not pushing on the paper, just letting the paper slide across the surface. That's about all I think it should need. About all I'm willing to push on it. Okay, I think I pretty much got that one out of the way. Let's just double check it here across the front. Let's see here. Check this other edge. Yeah, this could use it a little bit here too. Okay. Give it just a little more. Once again, not fond of finger sanding at all, but I'm just very ever so lightly here with the paper kind of just resting on there, because otherwise if I apply finger pressure it will groove and it will not push down on the sandpaper evenly. I didn't even touch this corner. It's nice and shiny, which, okay, cool. Happy with that. Do you have any other candidates that we can see that we want to fix while we're taking the time to do this? Okay, now that I'm done with 1500, I'm going to move over to using 2000. So I'm just going to step it up progressively. And I'm just going to go over the areas that I just did with the 1500 only. I'm not really going to concentrate on trying to do everything here with 2000. Pretty much just the areas that I already did to smooth those out. So I'm going to start here on the side and start smoothing that out. And each progressive sanding step will start to change the sheen on there. It just starts getting finer and finer. It's like the cloud starts to lift. So I want to make sure that I get all the areas I did with 1500 nicely sanded down here with the 2000. Make sure I don't leave any deeper scratches behind, because once I go on higher grit they will pop up and then I'll have to go back and get them again. Let's see here, am I happy with that? I think I need a little more just towards the end here. And for my next step, normally I would go to 2500 right now, but I just happen to be out of it and I don't really have any higher strip sandpaper, so I'm using a Trizac disc from a headlight polishing kit. I really got to get some better sandpaper that's got finer grit. Stop using this thing, because I've used this thing so much I almost kind of can't even tell what side is the right side to use almost anymore, but it's this side. I'm going to go over the pretty much about the whole exterior of these three sides with the 3000, and I'm going to start smoothing out those 2000 grit scratches. It might take just a little bit extra effort here with the 3000 because I'm skipping the 2500, but it's not that bad because I'm not jumping you know, pretty much more than half of my last sanding grit. I should be okay. Same thing here. You know, this pad has a little bit of a sponge on it. I do not want to press down at all when I'm doing this 3000 sand. I just want to let it glide over the surface and just do its thing.
So the 3000 is starting to look really good. It'll just kind of look like a perfect smear on the surface. If there's any deeper scratches, I really should be able to see them at this point or in the light. But with 3000 on here, this will be really easy to compound this out. If I do it by machine, it'll probably only take one pass to get it back, maybe two at the most.
Let's see here. A little cloudy right there. Just a tiny bit. Just I'm going to hit that area just a little more. Now I'm going to want to focus on this top edge here with the Trizac disc and get this smoothed out. I'm going to make sure I'm not leaving any scratches on the very edge here where it rounds over. That's where you're going to see them where the light hits it. Okay, just a few passes over the edge here. It's looking good. I don't see anything. Now I'm just going to start working the top.
I think it's starting to do pretty good here on the top of 3000.
It definitely needs it more. The more I go, the more it starts to pretty much take that orange peel off, starting to flatten down the surface. Always inspect your work just to make sure. It just takes a second to look it over just to make sure you don't proceed forward when you really need to go backwards. It's kind of like the polishing I did on my target top where I was polishing some Lexan. I have a video on that if you're interested. Pretty happy with the 3000 here on the top. And if you do look real close and you're looking in the light, 3000 does leave scratches, but it's very, very fine, almost kind of cloudy. It should almost all be uniform. The deeper ones should show.
Like for instance, here's our 3000, and remember here, this is our 2000. So keep in mind the sheens every time you go up a grit changes, and this kind of gives you your own guide code, so to speak, to know where you need to kind of keep going on.
Kind of like these foam pads here. It soaks up that water. I almost don't even have to spray it. Being careful of this divot here, because each time I go across it I don't want to press down because it'll start digging on that other edge there. So I'm kind of only just sanding up to it. I'm just going to break the top edge here into two parts, a left and a right. And there's that one little divot which I'm going to leave alone. Can't keep chasing that because that'll just put us right through the clear. Okay, that edge looks really good here in the light. And I think I'm pretty happy with the way everything looks all around the whole entire headlight here. Okay, next comes the two-step compound and polish. I use the Meguiar's Ultimate Compound or the 105. Doesn't have to be this. Plenty of other products out there, I'm sure, will get the same results done. Normally I like to do this with my machine, but I know some of you out there probably don't have like a DA polisher. So you know what, I'm going to give it a go here, and I'm just going to test it out and see how well these 3000 scratches will come out with compound by hand. And I'll just do it on this one side here, and we'll see how much effort that's going to take to get the 3000 scratches out. If this proves to not get them out, or I have to do it multiple times, then I will just switch to my machine, because I have one and I know it works, and I know it's real quick with 3000 to get it out. Okay, that should be good enough. I'm just going to let that sit for just a second. We'll come back and wipe that off and see how it does. Use a brand new clean microfiber here. I don't want to keep using the same one I was using. All that wet sanding dust, brand new. Let's see, we're going to polish this off. Let's see how well this does. It's actually doing pretty good. It's a little, seems like it's just a little on the tough side here to remove. Yeah, it's not bad. It's a little cloudy still from the compound. I think maybe, you know, definitely a DA machine does better in less amount of time. But this isn't bad. This isn't bad at all. Okay, and then I'm going to follow up the compound with some 205, which is basically a polish. Doesn't have to be this. But the compound will, of course, leave it just a little cloudy. And that's what the polish is for. Kind of restore the brilliance and bring back the luster. But I'm doing this once again just to demonstrate if you don't have any kind of mechanical equipment and you're going to do it by hand, this is the result you're probably going to expect. And I also have a headlight kit, one of those 3M polishing headlight kits. I still have the pad for it even though I've trashed it. I've gone through a set of headlights, a set of fog lights, a set of marker lights, and a complete target top using that pad. I almost might bust that out and do that on here, but I think I might just get out the DA I have, which has a 5-inch pad on it. But someday I'm gonna upgrade and get the proper 3-inch pads, the little smaller pad for it, which would make it a whole lot easier, which would probably be easier doing a small piece like this with. Buff this off here, and it's actually pretty good, surprisingly. This really didn't take that much effort. It's looking really smooth, really scratch free. It's not quite as deep, the black in here, which is I think where the machine is going to excel. I can see just still a little bit of cloudiness in here, and you know, the more I wipe, and now that the product's off here, yeah, maybe it's just the polish that's still on there. You know, maybe I might need it a second time here. When I rub my finger on it, it kind of comes off, and I can kind of see some of the black being restored. I can see a little bit of cloudiness over here.
Not perfect, but it could be better. So the other side that I had sanded with the 3000, I'm going to bust out my DA, and I'm going to do this whole side with the DA, and we can compare it to the brilliance, luster, clarity, depth, the other side that I did quickly by hand. It should go a lot easier on this side. I should get a lot better results using the machine in pretty much just about half the time. This is also too why I kind of avoided hitting this area. Well, it's hard to see with the light. It's not scratched up at all here, so I did not want to hit this area with 3000 because my buffer will not fit in here. I have not gotten myself a 3-inch pad, which I should already have, but I don't want to make more work for myself hand when it looks really good already. If I go over this once by hand, this should almost look perfect here on this edge, so I'm going to leave that alone.
Got out the DA here, got my gray pad out, which is pretty much one of the heavier cutting pads, but that's okay. I'm not going to apply a lot of force here to the headlight bucket. I think I'm probably just going to start out about 2. Get some of this mushed in here so it's not going to fling. This is a little too big. My 5-inch here, I really should get a 3-inch backing plate and some 3-inch pads. Keep telling myself, but I keep just making do. Okay, let's polish this side out, or I'm sorry, compound out this side. We'll see how it turns out. So I got to be really careful because I don't feel like I have this much control because I'm really using too big of a pad here. But you know, a lot of times you're gonna do it. It takes just to get her done. And that's what I'm doing here. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's looking much better. I think that's looking much better than by hand. It's a lot more consistent. It's a lot more consistent. Need to get a little right here on this edge. You know, the front edge, now I think about it, I'm going to probably have to do that by hand. I'm not going to want to use a 5-inch pad. Of across this very edge. And I'll eventually do the front edge just by hand, just to kind of go over it a little bit. Let me see if I can get that corner there just a little bit better. Yeah, that took it right out. Right out. 3,000 grit scratches with the DA and a cutting pad and some 105. Bam. I mean, look at that. First pass. I mean, that looks awesome. It really does. And I haven't even gotten to the polishing stage yet. That really looks nice. It's going to look even better once that's polished. I'm almost eager to switch the pad and try the polish right now, but here, let's compare that. Let's compare this side to the other side that we did by hand. And it's not quite as clear right off the bat. There's a little bit of cloudiness in it. This side here, I only see just the ever so bit of a slight touch of that same cloudiness, but it's even. It's not streaked. And then once again, this is compound. It's gonna leave that, so I know the next step polish is just gonna perfectly remove that. Wow, this is looking really nice. It really is. Okay, as much as I want to polish that side out, I'm going to continue on and do the top area. A little tough there with a bigger pad. That would be a lot easier with a 3-inch pad. Someday I'll get one. Yeah, this is doing so well that I can see areas that it just barely touched and areas it really did well. Right here I can do a little more towards the edge. And a little more here towards the back. You notice there too, I'm trying to just soft roll that over the edge just to make sure I get everything sanded and not burn anything. And oh, that's looking better. Yeah, that's looking way better around the top edge. Here I didn't get the very corner. That's about all that should take. Got to be super careful in the corner. Super careful. Yep, and that did it. Are we happy with that? See how we did on the back edge here. Using the light just to make sure I see where if there's any haziness. Anywhere I gotta kind of just go over I might have missed, but no, the back side of this is looking spectacular here from just the compound alone. It really is. I think it's the side we did here already. I can probably get... Ooh, I gotta be real careful if I'm gonna go over that back edge. And just be conscious too of when the pad spins, it could cut into the panel too if you're holding it at the wrong angle. And see right there on that edge, I want to pull away. I don't want to push this way with the DA because when it's spinning, it'll start digging into the edge. And you don't want that. You don't want to be... Remember, the edges are probably going to be where the clear coat's its thinnest. And then I'll just slowly turn it so I can see pretty much everything. Using the light at every different angle just to make sure there aren't any areas where I still need to go back over with the buffer. If I wipe them and they're still cloudy, then that means they have not been compounded out properly. I mean, there's still going to be just a kind of a slight cloudiness to it, but really I guess what I'm looking for is the shine of the panel. It should start coming out with the compound. Not perfect, you know, but I'd have to say 95% of everything that was there is gone, and definitely anything that will catch your eye, unless you get out the microscope and start really micro-analyzing this. You might see a few things that were just kind of left behind. Okay, this corner needs just a touch. Well, the more I'm using this big polisher here on the small part, the more I'm getting used to it, but it's kind of awkward holding it like that, and I got to get a 3-inch setup, I really do. So this is probably, right here is about my last area where it's still a little cloudy. I'm going to put a little extra effort here into compounding this by hand. And I'm going to get every single other area here down in the lower part of the bucket that I wouldn't be able to reach with the DA. Okay, I'm now at the polishing stage, and I've switched over to wearing gloves because I don't want to get my greasy mitts all over all that nice hard work I'm doing. And I'm going to use my Meguiar's 205. That's a lot right there in one little area. Mush it around on the pad here. And I'm going to polish this out. Starting with, let's see, which side do I want to do? I'm going to do this side here first. And we'll go ahead and get this polished and mush that around. Once again, so it doesn't fling. I'm using the white pad here, which is a polishing pad. The pads I use are from Lake Country, if you're wondering, by the way. This is a Chicago Electric 6-inch DA. I don't think they sell them anymore. You might be able to get a used one somewhere, about 75 bucks. Awesome tool. I love this thing, worth every penny. It really is. Okay, I'm anxious to see how this is going to turn out. Grab my microfiber here and buff this side down. Let's see how this is going to look. And it's looking really good. It's looking really nice. Tell if I need any more in any certain areas. Really good up top. Oh, this is so nice and smooth. And you can see with the DA polisher, it's just so much easier than by hand. I mean, if you're gonna really wax polish your car, doing it by hand is pretty much for the birds. It really is. This thing will just do so much better of a job, so much faster. It's not even funny. That looks spectacular. Wow. And I'm looking at the angle, the brake angle here in the light. That is incredible. That really is. I don't know, I haven't done this procedure maybe to the whole car. You know, maybe someday I will go around and I can get every last little micro defect out, and I can get out like all the orange peel, and if there is any on some panels, and I know there is a panel or two that does have some orange peel. Huh, nice. Okay, I'm gonna do the rest of it just like that. A little more of our 205 here on the pad. This is going to come out looking good on top. I can just tell already. Yeah, wow. It should be almost effortless getting this polish off, which it is. Got my little divot ding here, which you can see in the light. Once again, I knew from the very get-go that that was not going to be repaired. It was best to leave that alone. And then I'm just gonna really quickly do the bottom area here. And this is after polished. And I'm pretty happy with the results here. I've never really wet sanded paint before, to be quite honest with you. I know how to do plastic. Paint's a little softer. For me, it's almost kind of a little easier to do, and I know what to look for as far as the scratches between your sanding steps. So this is greatly improved. I want to think that this bucket, if I was going to grade it on a scale of 1 to 10, it maybe was about a 5 when it started out. I want to say I got it to about a 7.5. I didn't get every little there's just a touch of a hairline scratch here and there. There were probably deeper ones to begin with. The top here is really, really nice. Once again, I can't get out that little impression by doing wet sanding like that, like paint correction. But the orange peel is pretty much gone. There's just some tiny faint scratches right here. I can still see those were probably just a little bit deeper inset. But for the most part, this looks a lot better. I don't really see the orange peel anymore. It looks a lot more leveled. Your eye doesn't really catch anything. Let's see, over here on this side, there was a big squiggly, squirrely scratch right here on the corner. And that's gone. You can't see that anymore. This side looks darn near perfect. I don't see anything on this side where there's any scratches at all. This really got done nicely. And remember what I talked about burning through the clear? Well, here on the very, very front, this front edge, there was a scratch up here. It was pretty deep, and I went after it maybe a little too aggressively with the 1500. I probably should have done about 10 passes and then just stopped. I maybe did about 20, micro light passes, but it burned through the clear just ever so lightly. And I'll try to just rotate this here so it shows in the light. It's just a little dull. You can see where it kind of burned through, and right around it here on the bottom, you can still see the clear. It's really hard to see. I have to hold it like this so you can see it. I mean, granted, this is a headlight bucket, and this is only going to be used at night. I would never notice it, but I think it's came out really nice. I mean, I'm really happy with the result. Like I said, I think it was about a 5 to start with, and maybe we got it to about a 7.5. If I didn't get this burn through up here, I would have called it maybe an 8. That's what I got done for today. It pretty much took about 3-4 hours for me to do this. I'm going to spend a little bit more time, maybe about 15-20 minutes. I'm going to put some of that Scuff power lock on it, put a little bit of wax on top of it too. Maybe that might even... Nah, it's not going to fix this, but whatever. I'm going to lock it down like all the other painted surfaces I do on my car. And this is after applying a coat of the Scuff polymer lock on it, and also the Colonite wax. It's not really going to get any more brilliant or depth from that. That's pretty much just going to be for protection on this, but I am really happy with the way this turned out. This is shining. All those scratches that used to be on this side and also on this side, they're gone. And the top here, this very, very top edge where I burned through a little bit of the clear, when I put on the Scuff and the wax topper, I'm really surprised, but that lessened it. It lessened it to the point where I can almost barely even see it anymore, and I am really, really trying to look for it in the light. So I'm happy with this part, the way it turned out. It was a great experience with wet sanding, paint correction. I mean, I kind of always understood how it was done. I just never really got down and did it myself, and this worked out beautiful. So I hope you enjoyed watching the video and the tips I have here for you, and as always, thanks for watching.